Hello, the people of Eurasia, Oceania, and East Asia. Today we'll be discussing the topic of dystopia. Dystopia is basically the opposite of utopia, a government that is oppressive, all-powerful, unfair, or even just really unethical, all under the guise of utopia. Since the beginning of media, and especially in literature, this has been a popular topic. Today it is seen sort of a comeback with successful film series such as Divergent and The Hunger Games, but the most critically acclaimed examples are from much earlier. Some very famous dystopian novels include Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, Yevgeny Zamyatin's We, and Ayn Rand's Anthem. There are many different flavors of dystopia, but when most people think of it, they think of George Orwell's 1984. Published in 1949, 1984 tells the story of a dystopia where the government is always present, always watching, and always merciless. It is horrifying just how effective this system is. This review will mostly be an analysis of what lengths dystopia goes to so that it can remain in power, which can be boiled down to 3 steps. If you don't like spoilers, leave now. For those left, crawl into a corner where the telescreen can't see you. This is 1984. Step 1. Constant warfare. 1984 takes place in Oceania, one of the 3 major principalities, along with Eurasia and East Asia. It is stated that Oceania is always at war with one of the others and allied with the other one. It's also revealed later in the book that the war is barely about anything at all, just a piece of land that is never really conquered. No large risks are taken, nothing large is won, and nothing ever changes. It exists to perpetuate itself. Now, of course, this is lunacy, but at least in Oceania, it has a purpose. Because there's always war, Oceania has an excuse to never move forward as an economy or a civilization. All the money goes to the war and all of society is built around it. And, since the war never ends, nothing ever changes. The citizens of Oceania allow this to happen through A, not really knowing the true purpose of the war, and B, sheer propaganda and nationalism. There are about 2 minutes every day and a whole week a year devoted to propaganda against the enemy, called 2 Minutes Hate and Hate Week respectively. There's also the image of Big Brother. Big Brother is the mysterious leader of all of Oceania. What he says goes. He is never wrong. Nobody ever questions his authority, and no matter what the government does, as long as the citizens have undying loyalty to Big Brother, they can get away with it. Either George Orwell reads Le Bon, or he knows an awful lot about mob psychology, because this is textbook mob behavior. The uses of images, repetition, abject worship of the leaders, abject hatred of the enemies, it all fits. Oceania turns its population into a mob to make them stupid and easily led. This mob is perpetuated and enforced in many ways. First off, it is a priority that the citizens are told almost nothing. They know next to nothing about the enemies. They know next to nothing about their allies. They barely know anything about Big Brother. In fact, it is heavily implied that Big Brother doesn't even exist. He's just an image, a figurehead that the party uses to rile up its population. The people of Oceania are not let in on the truth because if they knew much of anything about the current situation, they would definitely question Big Brother. The use of images and not words is something that mob leaders use all the time. And the second half is eliminating all who would ever question anything. And when I say eliminate, I mean obliterate. All rebels or pre-rebels are caught very fast. There are cameras and microphones everywhere. They can see and hear what you are doing at pretty much any given time, and they don't keep it a secret either. The only thing you have to yourself is your thoughts, and it is made clear that even that's not safe. And when they catch you, they drag you away, erase all records of your existence, and wipe you out of the public memory. Through constant war, propaganda, and forced annihilation of all opposition, this government has gotten away with not progressing in the slightest. War never changes, so neither does Oceania. Step 2. Control all information. Our main character, Winston Smith, works at the Ministry of Truth, an agency that gives information to the public and keeps track of all records. It is in this department where Step 2 occurs. Winston's job is not to create news in the present, but to alter news of the past. For example, if Big Brother made a statement at the beginning of the year saying that there will be no need for the reduction of chocolate allotment, yes, the government even controls chocolate, but a reduction does happen, Winston's office would change it to say that Big Brother predicted a fall in chocolate rations at a certain time of the year. Therefore, the government is always right about everything. Nowadays, this wouldn't stand for a second. We know too much for it to work. But in Oceania, this happens every day. First off, via the ramifications of Step 1, most of the citizens will fall for anything. And I mean anything. But the crucial part is that the party controls all records. There is not a single piece of documentation that is not regulated by Big Brother. They control newspapers, books, photographs, anything that teaches anybody about the world around them. Because of this, all records of a mistake can be eliminated very easily. Not only is nobody aware that a forgery has occurred, there would be no way to prove it if they did. Events are remembered through documentation in the human mind. By having more or less control over both of them, the party has complete control over the past, and therefore the present. And I mean complete control. Every time Oceania changes allies, the Ministry of Truth makes it so that Oceania was always at war with whichever country that they're at war with right now. Think of how monumental that lie is. And it gets even crazier than that. In the book, Oceania changes enemies from Eurasia to Eastasia in the middle of Hate Week. Yes, during the time of year that is exclusively based around negative propaganda about the enemy, the government tells the public that it's always been somebody else. And the citizens buy it. Within a week, the party has eliminated all evidence that Oceania was ever at war with Eurasia, and most of the population is content. And the minority that isn't content can't do anything about it. They even control the language. In 1984, a dialect is used called Newspeak, which is a very, very simplified form of English. Synonyms are abandoned, all nuances are flushed down the toilet, and nobody can say anything worth hearing. It is the language of people who don't think. Words have a huge power, and the party recognizes it. Through controlling words, they control reality. Step 3. Ruthlessly destroy all opposition. Part 3 of 1984 is one of the scariest things I have ever read. It is horrifying how effective their means of dealing with rebels is. They don't just execute rebels. That might create martyrs. They don't just humiliate, demean, and remove all traces of humanity left from their prisoners. That's not effective enough. They cure the rebels. Make them living slaves to the party through drugs, abuse, and some of the sickest examples of torture that I have ever seen. And we see it firsthand when Winston gets arrested. The opening blow, the very first strike he gets, is one of the officers taking a bat and whacking his elbow as hard as they can. Imagine how much that would hurt. Seriously. They beat, abuse, and demean him until he's a sniveling, wretched puddle that will confess to anything at a moment's notice. And then things get really bad. The most effective part of the entire book is when Winston is strapped to a device that can cause immense pain at any second, and this pain is controlled by his interrogator. Apparently, it feels like every single joint in your body is being wrenched apart, and it feels like your spine is about to snap in half at any moment. Then, the Inquisitor holds up 4 fingers, says that the party says he's holding up 5, and asks Winston how many he sees. If Winston says that he sees 4, or says that he sees 5 and doesn't believe it, he is put into immense pain. They want to control the people so that they can break all laws and rules, both ethical and physical. The power of the party is the power to make 2 + 2 = 5. I am making it sound horrible, but I seriously can't do justice to what's being said in the book, so I'll just read some of it. This is what the interrogator says to Winston. Do not imagine that you will save yourself, Winston, however completely you surrender to us. No one who has gone astray is ever spared. And even if we choose to let you live out the natural term of your life, still you would never escape from us. What happens to you here is forever. Understand that in advance. We will crush you down to the point from which there is no coming back. Things will happen to you from which you could not recover if you lived 1,000 years. Never again will you be capable of ordinary human feeling. everything will be dead inside you. Never again will you be capable of love, or friendship, or joys of living, or laughter, or curiosity, or courage, or integrity. You will be hollow. We shall squeeze you empty and then fill you with ourselves. But that's not even close to the answer of the biggest question in the entire book. Why is the party doing what it's doing? Winston thought it was to take away the so-called burden of thought and free will from the people. The answer is even worse than that. Again, I have to just read the answer. The party seeks power entirely for its own sake. We are not interested in the good of others. We are interested solely in power. Not wealth or luxury or long life or happiness. Only power. Pure power. What pure power means you will understand presently. We are different from the oligarchies of the past in that we know what we are doing. All the others, even those who resembled ourselves, were cowards and hypocrites. The German Nazis and the Russian communists came very close to us in their methods, but they never had the courage to recognize their own motives. They pretended, perhaps even believed, that they had seized power unwillingly and for a limited time, and that just around the corner there lay a paradise where human beings would be free and equal. We are not like that. We know that no one ever seizes power with the intention of relinquishing it. Power is not a means, it is an end. One does not establish a dictatorship in order to safeguard a revolution. One makes the revolution in order to establish the dictatorship. The object of persecution is persecution. The object of torture is torture. The object of power is power. Now do you begin to understand me? This goes beyond fascism or totalitarianism. This is evil from the depths of hell. But the worst part is that the object is to make their enemies completely subservient to Big Brother. They won't let you die hating them. They will go to any length to get you to give up all humanity for the sake of Big Brother. And if all else fails, they will send you to room 101. I won't tell you exactly what happens there, but I will tell you that it is very effective. They say that they will kill Winston when he gives in, but when he does, they let him go. After being released, Winston becomes nothing more than part of the collective of the party. By choosing to love Big Brother, the last spark of the human spirit within him is extinguished, and he is happy to do it. This is Stockholm Syndrome at its finest. The oppressed love their oppressors because they are Big Brother. They are always right. Evil is patient, evil is intelligent, and evil is seductive. And so is the party. It takes malicious intent to destroy others, but it takes an even higher level of evil to make the oppressed love those that are oppressing them. They can do whatever they want because the citizens don't think that the party is doing anything wrong. After all, the greatest trick that the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he didn't exist. I'll see you guys later.